Hey everybody, thanks for joining us this evening. The quest for ultra high quality audio sound in mobile environments dates back to the very origins of car audio. And over time, enthusiasts have splintered off kind of into two groups. You got those who seek sound quality, and then those who always want to push the limits on SPL. But what about those who kind of wanted both, both loud and clear? Is it even possible to have your cake and eat it too? Well, enter the realm of pro audio, where technology meets demand in a world where neither volume nor fidelity needs to be compromised. CMA Live, presented by SiriusXM. This is the Pro Audio episode, and it starts now.
There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM, with even more exclusive content, like over 140 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team, get news, listen to whatever makes you laugh, and hear all about your favorite stars. Your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
So I'm going to be the first to admit, and I'm always going to be truthful about this type of stuff. When it came to pro audio, when I first heard the term, I was a little bit confused because, having a little bit of a background in both pro audio and in home audio, I couldn't quite connect the dots as to how pro audio could apply to car audio. Of course, we knew about sound cue and we knew about guys who really chased the SPL. But what on earth could pro audio mean in car audio? So when I did a little bit of research, and the team here at CMA kind of dug into it, we quickly discovered that this was an entire thing. It was a whole following that I, for one, had no idea even existed. So I'm really excited to have the guests that we have on tonight. We've got some of the brands that are really ingrained into the whole culture that is pro audio, that have actually developed products specifically to cater to this market. What I hope to do tonight is to learn a little bit more about this whole following, the culture that is pro audio, understand a little bit about the offering that's out there. And as for the dealers, what I want to get for you is maybe a little bit of insight as to how to maneuver yourself when it comes to this customer. And more importantly, maybe how to qualify a customer that is actually looking for pro audio, even though he or she may not even know it. So let's get this on the road. Our first guest tonight represents a brand which has a very, very deep catalog, but within that catalog, there's certainly quite a few pages that are dedicated to the pro audio category. The brand, of course, is Ground Zero, distributed in Canada by BB Distribution. And I'd like to welcome back to the show Mr. Jacob Brown, who's the Director of Operations for Ground Zero. Monsieur Jacob, how are you, sir?
How's it going, man? Same stuff, different day.
It's always fun to share the screen with you and get and learn a little something, because you have so much. Honestly, you are a wealth of knowledge, and I always enjoy the time that we have together. So when I found out that we're going to do a little bit of Ground Zero learning, and we had the chance, you did explain very briefly a little bit of the pro audio line, but tonight we're gonna dive into a little bit deeper, and I'm pretty excited about that. So welcome back to CMA.
Well, thank you.
Let me start with this. When it comes to Ground Zero, how has the Ground Zero brand embraced pro audio? But not only from a product perspective, but also the culture, because really it is a culture as well.
So, I mean, one of the big things that we've done, I mean, when you look at the big picture, this is a scene, this is a culture, this is a product, that we've embraced since 2007. So almost 15 years of dealing with, of dealing with this pro line that is all across, in the industry as a whole. So you get the power sports guys that have embraced the clarity and the sensitivity to drive, motorcycle side-by-side production, audio reproduction in those situations. You get what we see in Southeast Asia with a pro two-way kit, but also a thing called karaoke, which is essentially mobile karaoke platforms built out of a car. You open the back doors, you open the hatch, all pro gear, full mixing configuration, full karaoke machine. I mean, it's really kind of cool, what they do. But again, you got to have a pro-based driver to be able to do that. And then you bring in kind of what makes me happy, which is that pro SQ side of it. So it's that high fidelity meets high output daily driver for me style build. So really the company as a whole has kind of embraced the entire scene as it's developed over the last, 15, 20 years. And then,
Wow.
Big thing thinking about it, a lot of car audio started with pro gear in cars back in the 70s and 80s. So kind of full circle to us.
It's interesting that you're drawing that back to the origins of car audio, whereby it was a lot of the original concepts, the original installs were based on pro gear. So I find it very interesting that this is all full circle. But you said something that really surprises me. 15 years is what you established the pro audio scene to be in car audio. That's how long it's been around, because I feel foolish not knowing about this until now.
That's how long we've been part of it. So, on a worldwide platform, yeah, absolutely. We released our first series of components in 2007 for the 2007 product model year. So, all the way from a 25 millimeter standard tweeter to, up through the gambit into the subcategory. We really have had products in our arsenal for that long.
Wow, very, very interesting. Okay, so in your humble opinion, Mr. Brown, what is this modern pro audio enthusiast actually seeking to achieve? What are they looking for?
So for me, it's that and it goes along with any true car audio build, whether it's car audio or power sports or anything like that. It's a sense of emotion. It's what they're looking for is that trigger that brings them back to something. So whether it's a rock concert or a jazz concert or something along those lines, where you just remember that chill running down your back or something along those lines, that's really what all car audio customers are chasing. The pro audio customer, the guy who wants that, maybe that slight edge or that slight advantage, is the guy the guy or gal who wants to be able to, let's say, do that with the windows down, or in some of those other particular applications where you're in a crowd of people and you've built an absolutely wicked Harley. That sense, that feeling of that's mine, that's awesome, it sounds amazing. This is what we chase. This is what we do.
I mean, it sounds like what they're after is not only hearing, but being heard. Is that a fair statement?
To a degree, absolutely. I mean, there are certain segments of the pro audio industry where yes, absolutely, it is how loud, how clean, how accurate, how detailed can I get in a parking lot surrounded by or by other people, or it's I don't necessarily care personally about being heard going down the road, but it's that ability for me to be speed limit down the freeway, windows down, enjoying the weather, enjoying my music, feeling it the way that I would really want to in any circumstance. So it's, to me, it's not just those kind of 2 points, but it's kind of the overall, every bit of the sensation coming to that listener.
I wrote down a key word here that you've just said, and it's again something new for me: pro SQ. Pro SQ. You seem to have a personal attachment. You seem a little bit passionate about this whole pro SQ thing. Can you give me an example of a build, or maybe some products that would qualify for that type of category?
So yeah, I mean, it's real easy. We take your average car audio build and we change the driver configuration. So we go along with a pro SQ style, but we're still talking DSP. We're still talking active, discrete amplification for all channels. We still take that SQ mindset, but again, what we want is we want loud environment. We want that rock concert feel. So yeah, I mean, you take your standard 25 millimeter tweeter that we all know and love in the car audio world, and you build a pro version of it. You put it on an aluminum waveguide, a lot more efficient driver or driver itself. And now you've got something that's going to be a little bit better suited for that pro world, where you're not going to be ripping a tweeter apart based on frequency response or output. What we normally do in a car with a 3-inch, now we're doing with a 6.5. So this is one of our 6.5-inch Neo drivers with a dust cap. So this is a perfect mid-range application for a kick panel build. So now you've got the mid and tweeter portion covered of your build. And then you look at what a mid bass is. No longer are we talking 6.5-inch mid basses. This is the actual 10-inch mid bass that's going into the doors of my car in a vented enclosure. So now you're looking at an 8 or a 10 as a mid bass, as opposed to a traditional 6.5 3 tweak combo. So I'm taking the traditional high-end car audio build, using some phenomenally great sounding products that are designed with that pro mindset. So sensitivity is key, frequency response is key for the drivers, and understanding how to manipulate those in application. So yeah, I mean, a traditional build is exactly what you think with car audio, just with that slight tweak and mindset of utilizing the rhyme and reason of what is pro audio.
I'm sorry, I have to comment on a 10-inch mid-bass driver in the door in a vented enclosure, and using a 6.5 as a mid.
Yeah, mid bass.
Mid bass.
Because we're ridiculous in this world.
And what's wrong with that?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. All right. So
Nope.
yeah, 10-inch bass. Driver, mid-bass driver for the door. Why not? Why don't you put 2? Why do you stop at 1?
Airspace. If I wanted to do 2, I could do, we actually have a 6.5 and an 8-inch version of this same mid bass. So, doubled up 6.5s we've seen very common. We actually, we sponsored a truck that was at Slamology that had dual 6.5-inch mid bass drivers, 6.5-inch mid range, and a tweeter. And man, that thing is just, it's fun to listen to. It's you get out with a grin on your face, and you're like,
I haven't had a chance to experience that audibly yet. I really hope to get that opportunity soon to hear these. We have a couple guests coming on that go nuts on their door panels, and that's a thing. I've seen it, right?
Oh yeah,
door
absolutely.
Panels, over the top door panels. All right, so let's talk about the business side. We got dealers tuning in. Can you offer an example? Because I feel like what we're trying to promote and to educate people on is something very simple, basic, yet critical. And that is, in your opinion, how do you qualify a pro audio customer when they're in front of you at your store, at your shop? How do you qualify them? What are the telltale signs?
So for me, some of the fun questions are part of the, what we do when we get to know a customer anyway. So for me, it's always been, hey, what was the last concert you saw? You find out that it was a Metallica concert in 1991 or whatever, when they launched the Black Album. All of a sudden you're going, okay, where were you in the stadium? Were you dead center front row and you were getting the absolute snot beaten out of you by the audio package that is sitting on stage in front of you? Or were you 30 rows up in the nosebleed seats because you just like Metallica? So getting to know the customer and just finding out those little kind of intricacies of how they listen, or what they listen to, or what they enjoy, or those feelings, are really the big things. So last concert, where were you? Windows up or windows down? That's another big, simple question that you could ask that, if they're saying, well, windows down all the time because I live in Southern California and the weather's beautiful at all times. All of a sudden that can trigger maybe I should shift this way. And honestly, being able to really qualify what a customer says, well, I like it loud. Well, do you like it loud or do you like it loud? And really understanding how to differentiate that is going to be big. But yeah, for me, last concert and where were you?
Okay, so that's your tip. We're going to write that down, and we're going to try to paint a picture so dealers can kind of see that. So if the guy's coming to you and he's like, yeah, man, I was like front row center getting my brains blasted out, don't show him a regular component set. Show him one of those pro drivers. Can you show that pro driver real quick, the tweeter? There are very physical differences, right? And there you go.
Yeah, so we've got a full chambered pro bass driver, 25 millimeter silk dome. So again, you don't have some of the harshness that you would with a typical titanium or mylar compression dome tweeter or compression driver. So yeah, little things like that you're right, set the difference.
All right. So with the Ground Zero line, and your take on this. Where do you see this segment going over the next? Is this something that's growing? Is this something that we're going to see Ground Zero kind of develop and expand on?
Absolutely, and I think really with the development of I mean, you say segment, but getting those dealers to understand how to sell it. Now you're going to see some of the shift, and you're going to see some manufacturers, really doing some cool things. We're always in development of new products, expanding the line, making something that's better suited for XYZ application as opposed to ABC. So yeah, development's always going to be a big thing for us. So 5 years, where do I see it? I definitely see it becoming bigger. I see it becoming bigger across multiple spectrums. So again, the power sports or the side-by-side market, now we're seeing explode where what we saw Harley explode with 5-10 years ago with the competition scene. Now we're seeing that in side-by-sides. We're going to see that develop in the power sports arena, moving across the different platforms there, obviously with the car side and bringing that Pro SQ concept to a lot more retailers through the rebirth of our company in the US. We're going to see the Pro SQ side grow. So we're definitely going to see in the next 5 years a boom, hopefully, in bringing this segment really to life. Very
cool. As usual, thank you very much for your insight, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ground Zero Engineering Products. It's available in Canada exclusively through bbdistribution.ca. And in the US, go ahead, call them up. It's HKI. They got the goods. Deep catalog, folks. Be prepared to sit down and take some notes because I've been through this with Jacob. There's a lot there for sure. Can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for joining us, man.
Not a problem, man. Have a good one.
You too. That was Jacob Brown from the Ground Zero team, giving us a little bit of perspective. Learned something right there. Pro SQ. Who'd have thunk it? Maybe it's the next big thing. Maybe Jacob's onto something. And in fact, I'm pretty sure he is. Especially if we've got companies like Ground Zero developing products specifically for that need. Let's shift from Germany now. We're going to go to the other side of the world. We're going to go all the way to Russia. Well, we're not going to Russia. We're actually going to Toronto. But my friend who's coming on is representing a brand that has its origins from Russia. And in Russia, man, pro audio is kind of a big deal. And to teach us a little bit about that culture and to learn a little bit where that's going, I'd like to invite representing Alfred Group Canada. He's the Canadian representative. His name is Vasily Mishukov. Hey, Vasily, how are you?
Hello.
Looking very sharp this evening, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
For our Canadian audience that's watching in, Vasily, your car is being featured in a lot of places. It's very well known. It's got a lot of coverage. It's got an incredible build in there, and we did that teaser video where we talked about you coming onto the show. So hopefully everybody got a chance to see that. And I do want to make mention before we get into this vehicle we did feature on our website, CanadianMobileAudio.com. If you go into the feature section, you'll see Vasily's crazy Audi in there. Okay, Vasily, you're on the show. I know you were excited when we told you we're doing a pro audio episode. You're like, Ben, we got to be on the show. So
yes.
Before we start anything, how has Alfred Group embraced pro audio from a cultural standpoint? Because I know I've seen it. It's a big thing in Russia, isn't it?
Yes, it is, because it's this when we bring back to history of how the Alfred Group became who it is now. It was growing up with all competition and everything, and because the Russia was a little bit behind on the car audio scene, I mean the competition and everything. So that's why it was growing up so quick, because lots of people was using the pro audio stuff, and after Alpha Group started thinking, why wouldn't we make something like that? Because that's the pro audio drivers from pro audio wasn't really made for the car, right? So that's why, and because the competition was growing this way, where now we have multiply organizations who is making the competition for the car audio on front doors, like who is loudest. I mean, that's how you see those all crazy Russian doors, because they built for the competition. And not only loudness, but the quality too, because the one of organization has a SQL format, so where they judge the sound quality from far away.
Oh, from a distance.
Yes, yeah. The two judges sit on the distance on the chairs and listen the SQ the disc, like SQ music.
Interesting. So that's another dynamic I didn't know. I just learned that right now. So in your opinion, then, based on the culture that you see from Russia and the brand through Alfred Group, because Alfred's got many different brands, of product. But if you go to the website and you check that out, alfredaudio.ca, you're going to see all the different series that they make. But my question to you is, coming from Russia with the brand and the culture, and coming into like Canada, what do you think the modern pro audio enthusiast would be looking to achieve? What are they after when they think about building their car with this type of equipment? What do they want?
No, I think the most important right now, lots of people building the base cars, right? So they're using the 115, 215 setup and a lots of bass, right? But none of the regular component speakers can hold up with this volume of the low frequencies, right? So that's why you need something to support on the mid-range and the high range. That's why when you listen loud music in the whole speaker, it's better, right? When only the bass rattling the car against the car, which has a nice stereo system. I mean, the whole frequency there.
Yeah, that makes sense, because it's not very balanced. A lot of the times the standard, SQ type product doesn't really hold up. And in fact, a lot of times they end up being damaged. And I think every dealer has experienced that, where maybe they didn't qualify their customer necessarily right. They had a budget. They wanted to give them something really good. So they sell them a great set of speakers, a high-end set of speakers. But what they really wanted, was something that was great, loud, but loud, really. And it was the volume that was missing. So I think that's where the pro audio drivers really come into play.
Yeah, but also the pro audio, because it's you have already bass. So that's why you can go louder on the mid-range and the high range. It's all about
the mid. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So if we're talking about pro drivers, do you have any that you could show us or talk to us about? I mean, I know the Apocalypse series is super popular, but what do you recommend?
Yeah, exactly. I have a few of the speakers here, the Apocalypse line. This one, the EP.9 SL. So this one is a 170 watt RMS speaker. And as you can see, this speaker is all designed by us. Everything, even the basket, if you remember from the last video, like every single component on these speakers we produce, it's designed by us. And when till that hit the market, we made so many tests and
and that is was that a mid-range driver? Mid-range driver?
Yes, it's all mid-range, but it was an 8-inch mid-range driver. Mm-hmm. This one is a Neo mid-range driver too. So this one is the top of the line of Apocalypse, because it has a Neo magnet and everything, like look and beauty. That's what I'm running in my
I was just going to say, isn't that the same driver in your doors?
Yeah. Yes, yeah. But I have a 7 in each door, 7 mid-range.
Because you need 7 mid-bass drivers in the door. Of course you do. Why wouldn't you?
Yes, I need.
Yeah. While we're on that topic, how many tweeters do you have in each door?
4 in each door.
So 4 tweeters, 7 drivers. I don't even know how you close the door, to be honest with you. I've seen it.
But that's why I'm running the Neo's speakers, because they're more lightweight. I was running before the Ferrite one, but it was a little bit heavy. But I think the Audi, like German cars, build well. That's how it holds the weight.
Very good. It can hold that Russian muscle. That's cool. Yeah. You have some experience talking to a lot of guys at shows, at events, at shops. When you're talking to somebody, what are some of the clues that help you identify that person as a pro audio customer versus like a regular sound quality or anything else? What are the clues when you're talking to them?
Usually the people want something loud, right? Or if we're talking about the culture back in Russia, this is a big thing. I mean, like it's in our culture now. That's how. And I don't know, lots of people seeing this on the internet right now, right? Seeing not even I can say being on the car shows here in Canada, in North America, in the States, people see our builds and they want to do something more like this. So that's how you can see if the people want. It became more popular now.
So you think people are aware of what it is? Like there's a group of people that would go to a store and say, "Hey, this is what I want." Like they'll show you.
Yes, yeah, but they also, as I said, it's a part of the culture. Some of the people, because it's in Canada, we're multinational right here. So some people come from the Russia, some people come from the South, and it's not only Russia has a culture like this. It's many other countries have, and that's you can see here more and more.
We're definitely going to get a taste of that as well with some of our other guests. That while Alfred is getting a lot of influence from Russia, we have other brands here that are getting influence south of the border. In South America, which also has a big pro audio movement as well. Very, very cool. Last but not least, it's a little bit of a question. It's personal for you. So you're very passionate about the brand that you represent, but also for your vehicle. And again, we say the culture of pro audio. Why are you personally so passionate about this type of sound?
I don't know, because I like the loud sound. And I like the balance too. And back in the days, I was competing in sound quality too. So that's why I like when it's loud, but then when it's clear. That's what I hear from the most people. I go to the show and I play music loud too. And the people always come and say, "Wow, I never heard something clear like this." And I have a little picture here.
There you go. I think it's just because you like bringing the party. I think that's what it is, Vasily.
Yes, maybe, but I want to do something different, and trying to share my culture from Russia, right? So that's why the door style like this now became popular, and some North American call it Russian style door.
Oh, is it called Russian style? That's how crazy it is? Okay, fair enough. I'll give it to you. Thanks so much for joining us today, Vasily. I mean, we got a chance to get a glimpse of the Russian pro audio culture, the Russian door style, as you just mentioned it. Opening for, if you guys are interested in exploring this lineup of product, make sure you get a hold of Vasily. There it is. alfredaudio.ca is where you want to get a hold of them. Sir, thank you so much, and keep it loud, my friend.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
Take care. All right, so two very different perspectives. We had Germany talking about, a little bit of what they want to do and through their product with Ground Zero. Now we went to Russia and we talked about their culture and the crazy Russian style door panels. This next guest, we're going to bring it back home to North America and see how the American companies are dealing with this. One example here, one of the oldest companies in the industry, in fact, over 100 years old, representing Memphis Car Audio. We've got the president himself, Mr. Nick Lomonico, joining us this evening. Oh, you're automatically my favorite guest.
Go Habs.
Go Habs, go. Sorry, guys. I love my other guys. You guys are all my boys, but he's got a Habs thing on, and the game is going soon. I'm not even looking at the score. I hope they're doing well. We're going to get to that after this. Nick, Memphis Car Audio. We're talking pro audio. Oh, I've got a lot of questions. You've heard a little bit about what the other guests have said. Bring different perspectives to the game. I think that's what this whole show is about. So my first question to you is, how has Memphis Car Audio embraced the entire pro audio thing culturally, and what's your take on it?
Well, I listened to the other guys, and I think from our perspective, Memphis is in what we call ourselves the Mid-South, but we're in the South. And so we kind of got started in the pro audio world just because guys were putting speakers on the outside of their cars. They wanted to be, 415s in the trunk, and they still wanted to hear the audio. And back then, to be honest, our first round of pro audio speakers were a little harsh, but they were made to be loud, when especially we're talking, the donks with the.
Oh my God, the donks. Is that still a thing?
Oh, the donks are huge. I was just in Ohio a couple weeks ago. Cleveland and Cincinnati especially, man, the donks are huge. So are you saying donks like pro audio? Are you making a correlation there? Well, the donks, but like before we started coming out with pro audio product, like they'd be putting 4 pairs of 6x9s in the rear deck, and now that's transitioned into putting pro audio in the rear deck and in the doors to really keep up with the bass in these vehicles. I mean, that's what got us into it, and putting 4 6.5s in the grill, under the car, that sort of thing. In the South, they do it differently, and it started transition up into the Midwest of the U.S., and that's really what got us into it, is just being loud when you got 415s in the trunk. Yeah. Yeah, I was in Ohio on an 88 Cutlass on 30-inch wheels that was having 4 6.5 Pro Audio drivers put underneath the car. So,
okay, hey, listen, whatever floats your boat. That's what I got to say.
Yeah.
So, okay, interesting. I guess the story of how that began is very interesting and unique once again. So now let's fast forward to right now. The modern pro audio enthusiast. In your opinion, what are they looking to achieve?
Well, now we've transitioned from those guys that just want to be stupid loud and have a bunch of speakers everywhere to the guys that want to keep up, that do just want to have really loud sound to keep up with their really loud woofers. I mean, Memphis, we're known for having some really loud, moving a lot of air subwoofers, and you need to have some speakers that also move a lot of air to be able to keep up with that bass. So we're seeing that a lot more, and that's where we've kind of focused. We do a lot to listen to our dealer base, and we focused on the speakers that make it easy to incorporate that pro audio sound and output into everyday vehicles, everyday applications without having to do a lot of fabrication, a lot of modifications to the car, still be able to get that super loud but clean sound to keep up with that mega bass that's in the trunk.
Mm-hmm. You and I have spoken on other occasions, through different trainings, and you're very proud of the fact that your design team puts an emphasis on the little things that kind of set your product apart. And you're very quick to point those out because you're proud of them. So when it comes to, pro audio, what kind of features or what are the motivating factors behind these unique design cues?
Well, as I kind of mentioned, and I mentioned other trainings and other conversations we've had, we really listen to our customers and what our customers are telling our customers are telling us, the end user, and so we try to incorporate as much as we can to give them the most selling features with our product, to make it easy to make money, easy to sell product. So, for example, on our new Mojo Pro product, like the other gentleman before me talked, we have neo magnets for size and weight. But, we knew people were starting to put pro audio on bikes more often, as well as in marine applications. So as we mentioned before, the dust gap, but this is also water resistant treated. So the front side of this, you can put it in a motorcycle fairing. We're getting a lot of people putting these on boats now because our customers saying they want to be stupid loud. They want pro audio on boats. So that's the step we took when we went for our high-end Mojo Pro, which is our high-end pro audio product, and try to make it more fit better in the outdoor and marine applications.
Interesting. So there is a pro audio application not only for car, I'm learning here. Now we're talking marine, and you also mentioned UTV.
Yes, both. So with basically everything we're doing pro audio style. This is our more entry-level pro audio, or SRX Pro, upside down, sorry. This is our two-way with the horn-loaded tweeter built in. But again, we designed this where the basket magnet will still fit in a Harley fairing. So again, looking to what our customer's looking for. It's a tight fit, but it does just barely fit. So we're always looking for multiple applications for our pro audio product. And that pro audio sound is transitioning also into our direct fit kits.
I was just curious about that. So how can I say this? With the advancement of your pro audio lineup, because obviously you seem pretty committed to it, is it affecting like the rest of your line, or is the DNA kind of being spread out a little bit because of the popularity?
Yes. It's actually as it's become really the first place it became for the outside of the car application was the motorcycle application. So we admittedly, when we started making speakers, we were making regular car speakers that we knew would fit in a fairing, be lighter to fit in those applications for a bike. But then we realized, well, Harleys and dressers, those sort of bikes are stupid loud, and you want to hear them when you're riding. So when we started making the pro audio style speaker direct fit for motorcycles, we also took that technology, that sound quality, that output, and rolled it into our power sports line. So most of our power sports and all of our power sports and motorcycle product is more of a pro audio style speaker with the pro audio style sound with regards to the SPL and the frequency response. So it's anytime you need to be loud.
Excellent. I'm going to ask a little bit of your expert advice, because it seems you're pretty ingrained in this. And like you said yourself, you've spoken to your dealers and get feedback. So if I'm a dealer and I'm watching this episode for the first time, learning about pro audio, and I'm now starting to think back to the different transactions that I've had with different customers. And, as much as dealers don't want to admit it, sometimes you don't get it right. It happens, right? It's normal. So if I'm watching the show, what advice can you give a dealer that would help them better qualify a pro audio customer?
Well, for me, I almost think of myself when in 1998, when I was getting my first system for my vehicle, and I just wanted to be loud. Like I want my system to be heard outside the vehicle, even if it sounded like crap, to be honest. But I wanted it to sound good, but I just wanted to be really loud. So a lot of times when I'm go visit my customers, they say a customer will come in and ask, I want the best speakers you have. Well, what does that mean? Like, what does best mean to you? And sometimes they think that's the most expensive. Sometimes they think that's the biggest power handling. And oftentimes when they come in saying, I want the best and loudest you have, they don't even know what pro audio is. So you ask the customer, what do you have in your trunk? Are you buying bass as well? A lot of those guys already have like maybe 2 high power 12s in their trunk. They started with bass and they're dealing with their factory speakers, or maybe they just did a speaker swap or something like that. So asking them what they're trying to accomplish when they say, I want the best speakers, I want the highest power handling, they don't know what they don't know. So you got to ask them, are you just looking to be stupid loud and also sound good? Or you just want to be loud, or you really want sound quality? You have to ask that customer when they say the best, because a lot of times they don't even know what they're asking.
Yeah, that's pretty sound advice. Get it? Sound advice? Get that? Anyways, of course, I should mention there's a reason why you put the HAB sign behind you. Your distributor in Canada, if you're looking for Memphis, if you've been under a rock, we've already announced this like 60 million times, but Memphis is back in Canada, distributed exclusively through the team at Auto Mobility. That's who you want to call. Nick, thank you so much for some insight. Thank you for sharing with us a little bit of the design and how that has affected your lineup, and also the applications that Memphis offers in the pro audio realm.
Thank you. Nice talking to you as always.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Nick. That was Nick LaMonaco, president of Memphis Audio, shedding some light. And, check out the website. They got some pretty serious product when it comes to pro audio components, as you can see, highlighting also not only in the car, but marine applications as well as UTV applications. Very interesting indeed. I can't believe it. We're already at our last guest. So our last guest, I probably need a Corona or something for, because this is going to be a fun time. This is going to be definitely good. We're going to get on our last guest, which really is involved and has had a heavy influence in the pro audio scene, especially down south. The brand is DB Drive, and they have different other brands that we're going to talk about. You might have heard the Expert or the Euphoria line and so on and so forth. I'm going to let him tell you all about it. His name is Ernie Welch from DB Drive. How's it going, sir?
Hey, Ben Wu. How you doing, buddy?
I should mention that you are the national sales manager. I apologize for not mentioning that. It's important titles, aren't they?
Call me janitor. I don't care what you call me. Whatever it takes, right?
Well, I'll tell you what. Listen, you've been on the show before. We've talked about DB Drive, but we've never really specifically spoken about pro audio. So let's tell the dealers what's important here. And the story is, how is DB Drive ingrained into the culture that is pro audio?
Okay. Well, I'm excited that you get to start the broadcast with a Corona. I'm happy you're that relaxed with me. You know, what's fun about this whole thing and how we get to be entrenched to this is we're in South Texas. So our company's right on that border, right there. And that's where we got our start. And that's our beginnings. And the culture that we have in that area also extends down into Mexico and South America. So the influence in pro audio for us kind of came from some of our strong customer base in the region saying, hey, we're excited about this stuff, and came to us, and we saw what was happening in the market, and customers again were coming to us and saying, hey, we'd like to see DB get involved in these types of categories. And instead of just saying, hey, we're going to take a windrower and put everything in one line and say, hey, well, here's what we offer and try to make it work for you. What we did was we started creating this unique product to follow up in that culture that demands this type of product, that pro audio, that crazy loud audio that's happening down there. Some of your other guests have talked about it with the multiple speakers and things. But culturally and regionally, it's begun to make its way up to the north. I'm in Ohio. We've talked about that before, but into Canada and across the rest of the country, where maybe it came in 5 years or 6 years later than it had been down there. But we were early adopters, and we got in front of this segment before it got kind of everywhere all at once. So we became leaders in that category, and the region and the culture impact had a huge part of that.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Earlier we had a guest that with brand from Russia, and they have a unique take, right, on what pro audio is. And the south of the border, they have a unique take on it as well. I mean, all the way down to the entire South America seems to embrace it on different ways. Before we talk about the culture and all that, I want to take advantage of the fact that you are a salesperson, and this is important because CMA is not only about the products and the technical stuff, but it's also about sales, because that's what we want to do. We want to improve sales. How do you qualify? I want your expert advice here. What would you do to help or give advice to a shop to help better qualify their customers for this type of gear?
So if you're asking for a consumer that walks into a retail store, if that's okay. So if I'm a shop manager or I'm the guy on the sales floor saying, hey, customer walks in, and one thing that we all tend to do not enough of is we need to listen a little more. So the customer comes in and says, hey, I want this type of speaker, I want this type of sound. We instinctively want to start show them things that we know very well, or things that we have in our vehicles, or things that we're familiar enough with to say, hey, this has this spec, this tech, or listen to this and see what you think, versus listening a little more and saying, what do you have in your vehicle now? What did you hear that makes you come in today to say, hey, I want to put in a system or upgrade my system? And I think what we'll start recognizing is sometimes we need to do a little less pitching what we want them to buy and start selling them what they want. That doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes we've all heard the story as the guys that are regional and sales managers. We got on the road and we start hearing the stories of, man, I had this customer that just kept blowing the speaker up. He blew it up. He's gone through 3 sets of 6.5. This guy's an idiot. Well,
is he though?
Is he? Is he the idiot? Maybe at some point what we need to do is say, hey, why are you blowing these things up? Get into the guy's car and find out what's happened. Does he have the treble all the way up, the bass all the way up, and the volume cranked all the way up? If that's the case, we're not giving this guy enough volume. So do a little bit more listening, and then we've talked about this in the past too. Encourage the shop owners to have the stuff on display. Have it on display and have it powered up correctly. Put the right amplifiers on these things to let them hear and know what these things can do, so they can create that vision in their mind of what this is going to sound like in their vehicle. And you'll start seeing a customer that gets a gleam in their eye because they're hearing what they're looking for. We have them also, from DB, we make super high-end Euphoria speakers and super high-end DB Drive speakers, and they're amazing and they sound smooth and I love them. But that's not what everybody wants. Some guys just want to get loud, and some guys want to make their ears bleed, and that's where you sell them what they want. So taking a product like DB Drive, put it on your soundboard, put it on your demo vehicles, qualify the customer to find out what he's actually looking for, and find out that this category is going to work in your shop. It will work because customers are looking for this. And it's not exclusively motorcycle. It's not exclusively UTV. Of course, those are categories and segments that people are putting this stuff into. We're huge into that. But this is ending up in vehicles because people want that volume. And as an industry, and especially with DB, what we've been able to do is bring the sound quality side of that into the volume and performance side of that. So it's no longer just ear-numbing volume. It's pretty good sounding stuff at an excessive volume that people are looking for sometimes.
Yeah, and you're just reinforcing the message I'm trying to get out today is, you as a shop, your job is to install and sell the appropriate equipment for what that customer desires and is looking for. Our job is to make sure you understand that there are these products out there that exist in this pro audio category that you may or may not be aware of, and you might have missed or misqualified in the past. But moving forward, I hope that with this and more education that all these great brands on here are educating you guys with, that you understand how to qualify, and there is that product that meets those needs. Okay, we talked about product. Let's segue real quick. Let's talk about some of the popular ones, maybe the motorcycle drivers. I know you guys are, let's start with that, the motorcycle driver. I know you're pretty popular.
Well, we've talked about some stuff in the past. We got a newer piece that's come out. I want to grab it right here, Ben. It's our WDX 6 Motos CD. And I'm going to grab this thing and I'm going to put it right up here, take this beautiful grill off of it. But I really want to focus on some of what that driver can do. Look at that baby right there. We've got an amazing tweeter in here. And what you're going to find is a 1-inch aluminum style tweeter. This is a bi-ribbed cloth surround. Inside there's 500 watts, lots and lots of power handling capabilities. What's cool about this, and a lot of the speakers that we have, is we keep talking about these volume, very install friendly, fits in the motorcycle fairings, all that good stuff. When we talk about the volume, a lot of us are so used to having to put so much amplifier into these things, having to put all the extras in our vehicles to get to the volume. The efficiency on these speakers has become significantly better over time, and as we've developed more and more products. So no longer these things just assert trying to grab all the power and suck it up and drink it up or eat it real greedily, just having all that power come into it. These guys are efficient. They're using the power that's coming from those amplifiers very well and getting loud. So it allows us to do a couple things. We can put multiples of these on amplifiers to increase the output inside whatever application we're using, or we can go to a very nice small footprint type amplifier and find that this does work on the motorcycle. So the places where you're putting, one set of these maybe, because not everybody's putting 8 speakers on a motorcycle. Some guys are just putting a pair and a fairing, but they still want it to be loud. This is what that allows to do.
Would that work in a door for a car as well?
It will, and you'll find that this product and some other ones from different categories may require some installation, but
sure, of course,
yes, they're going to work. Especially the way that the sound dispersion on these things works because of the way the tweeter is and that mid that's on there. Pro audio, that's what everybody keeps calling this category, pro audio. I tend to stay away from that definition a little bit because I don't want it to people to think it's just a concert speaker, because there's so much more intricacy to what this is. So yes, they work in a door, whereas a concert speaker, maybe sounds better 100 yards away from it. These things can sound really good if you're sitting on the motorcycle and you're 4 feet away, or if you're sitting in a vehicle and it's 2 feet away.
Coming into the show, Ernie, I had to do a lot of research. I mentioned at the top of the show that I was not really in tune with this category. I talked to so many different people in the industry, different dealers. I literally have 24 sheets of different paper with notes.
You got a whole choir there, man. You got a whole choir.
An entire choir, right?
That's it.
But here's what I'm learning, and we're winding down to the end of the show. Whether it's for motorcycle, whether it's for UTV, whether it's for marine, whether it's these crazy Russian style doors that I just learned about, whether it's for a Pro SQ setup that I learned from Jacob, what I'm learning here is that it is a much wide, I think everybody's capsulated into this one thing. It's not one thing. It's really a wide range of things. But what's common here is volume, right? You want to be loud, but you want to be clear.
Yes.
Right. And there are products such as what DB Drive has to offer right here, what you're talking about right there, that are specifically engineered for this. So my question to you to close off the show, Ernie, as a specialist and a representative of a brand that's really been in this for a long time, where do you see this segment going now for the next, let's call it 5 years?
For 5 years, I think you're going to see continued growth in here, assuming that we as factories do our job. And what you're going to see is more efficiency. You're going to see smaller. I think you're going to see things get better as they go. One thing, and I'll be very quick here, Ben, but one thing that you're looking at, a huge new 10-inch WDX speaker, Expert Series, but you're seeing the stacked neodymium magnets. And as we get more and more power handling capability in those magnets, the range of what we're able to do with the speaker just gets broader and broader. So in 5 years, I think you're going to find a speaker that is more able to handle a wider range of environments. I think that we're putting IP ratings on these things now, but I think you're going to see them even get more tough. And I think you're going to see them get smaller in size. Category-wise, you're going to see amplifiers get better. You're going to see speakers get better. You're going to see sizes come down. Think about our cell phones and what we've accomplished in 10 years on cell phone sizes and computing capabilities. Well, we can do the same thing with amplifiers. We can do the same thing with our speakers. So in 5 years, I think you're going to see that trend go there. And to be real honest with you, I think you'll see some other categories maybe get pushed to the wayside because of what this is so capable of. Henry Ford has a really good quote that I don't remember exactly word for word, but the gist is this. He says, if I would have asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So, gotcha. As a factory, what we're doing is we're coming out, listening to what our customers are asking for, but we're also coming out with some really, I wish I could talk more about it, but we're really coming out with some fun, exciting things.
I'm sure I'll get a chance when in the right time to talk to you about it. Cool.
When the time's here, we're going to show you some really awesome stuff, but I know where we're going as a company over the next 18 to 24 months. To stretch that over 5 years, it's the multiplier capability. It's just going to get better, broader, and more efficient as you head down.
Very promising. So more reason than not for dealers to get educated on this expanding category. Can't thank you enough, Ernie. You've been well knowledge. Thank you so much. Cheers. All right. So I need to mention though, DB Drive available in Canada through Importel. Make sure you hit up the guys at Importel if you're interested in some DB Drive product, especially in their pro audio lineup. Lots of offering in there. Okay. So look at my notes. I want to summarize a little bit of what I've learned here today. I learned a lot about the pro audio scene. I learned a lot it's much wider than I first expected. I thought it was just a bunch of guys that wanted to get loud and then show off their sound. It's not true. You know what it is? It's fun. A lot of times we build sound systems for one person, and that is the driver. This seems to be a culture whereby it's for the enjoyment of the owner of the vehicle, but they want everybody else around them when they show up somewhere or whatever the situation may be to also enjoy it. So yeah, I'm on board with that. That is sharing the fun. And I think there's a lot to be said about that and a lot of market to go get. So if you're a dealer, make sure you hit up one of these brands, all of them, talk to them, find out the products that suit you most. But if you've had that customer that comes in and is inclined, and when you're hearing things like volume, loud, party, want everybody to know I'm here, and they're coming in with like 215s in the back already because we've already done the bass, but they've got blown drivers up front. Take the advice that we've gotten tonight, qualify them properly, get the right product in their hand. And that's my 2 cents. All right, so we're at the end of the show. I want to remind you, of course, to tune in to CMA Connected every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We'll be off this Friday, of course, because of the Canada Day weekend, but we'll be back next week. And that's our lunchtime learning session. That's CMA Connected every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 12 p.m. And our next show is going to be here real quick in 2 weeks, where we get a chance to showcase a whole bunch of great brands and what we're calling Essential Gear Part 2. Brands that offer it all. Subs, drivers, amps, you name it, complete brands. That's what Essential Gear Part 2 is all about. And that's it. So I really want to take the time, thank all our guests that came on today. And man, Pro Audio, I need to get to an event. I know things are loosening up. We'll get a chance. I need to hear this stuff for myself. So on that note, I'm your host, Ben Wu. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of CMA Live presented by SiriusXM. Until next time, we connect.
There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM, with even more exclusive content, like over 140 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy a favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.